Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Cafe Bagheri. Persian New Year, Nowrooz, spring equinox is right around the corner. We want to cook a traditional Nowrooz meal. Lamb shanks, fall off the bone, tender lamb shanks fit the bill. Lamb shanks are usually served with herb rice, Sabzee Polo, or dill rice with lima beans, Shevid Polo. Tonight, we're going to make a Southern traditional side dish, grits, and we're going to put a Persian touch on it. We're going to make saffron cheese grits, and we're going to serve it with the tender lamb shanks. You're going to love this. Stick around. Let's make some lamb shanks. All right, we're going to get our shanks ready. Always wipe the knife after honing it. We're going to release the muscles from the bone right here. And this is just mostly for the aesthetic, so that when you're cooking the shank, these muscles can release and look better. They're going to go up, and the presentation is going to be better. Heat a couple of tablespoons of vegetable oil. Now we're going to briefly saute both of these shanks on all sides. The purpose of this work is not to cook the shanks. We're just giving it some color and flavor all over. So it's kind of weird to get them to stand up on that side, but you can use one to support the other. So the way to do this is to use one shank to stand up the other one, so you can saute a certain side and then swap them. Just a little bit of color on all the sides that had the bulk of the meat on these shanks. We continue on medium-high. We already have a good amount of oil in our pan. We're going to add a little bit of butter in there. Then we're going to add one medium onion or half of a large onion. So half of the onions are going to be sauteed. The other half we add later and use them raw. So we're going to continue on medium-high until the onions have a little bit of golden color around the edges. Okay, the onion is on its way to getting the golden edges that we want. So you put the turmeric over the onions about halfway through cooking these onions, and then just stir them to get the turmeric all over the onions. All right, the onions are ready. They're getting that little bit of rustic color around the edges. We're going to add the shanks back in there over the cooked onions right here. Now we're going to add the other half of onions. Okay, next we're going to mix all the spices that we have here, which is cumin, a touch of heat, in this case is cayenne pepper, about 1/8 of a teaspoon. If you don't like the pepper in there, you can skip that. We have a couple of strips of orange zest that gives it a great aroma. And we're going to throw a couple of crushed garlic cloves in there. We're going to give this a stir. This is a cup of chicken broth that I have heated already, okay? So now we're going to add all of this in our pan, throw the 2 bay leaves in there, and we just make sure that all of this is well mixed. We got a whole cinnamon stick. I'm gonna cut it in half and throw it down there in the broth. Make sure it's buried. Now we have about 90 grams to 100 grams each of carrots. pieces of celery. And these contribute to the final flavor, and they can be served with the shanks. All right, the broth is boiling now. It's time to drop it to low. Now we have a couple of tablespoons of butter. We're gonna plant 1 tablespoon of butter on each of these little guys here. Now we're on low, so we're gonna cover this. Once every 30 minutes, you wanna move the shanks around and turn them over so that they get the flavor of all that broth and the spices you put in there. So 1 hour and 45 minutes on low. Okay, it's been a little over 30 minutes. And, oh, this smell. I wish this was smell-o-vision. Our house smells wonderful right now. You see, it's already starting to look kind of getting a little darker color. So we're gonna push these around, kind of do the shaking here, and just keep going. We have a little over an hour left. As you can see, it's starting to brown around the edges and we are low on moisture. So what I do here is I have some hot water and add in some moisture as we go forward towards the full hour and 45 minutes. Make sure you don't drop low on liquid in there and keep adding. The goal is when this is all done and you're serving this with your rice or grits in this case, you want about 1 cup to 1.5 cups of broth of the flavorful liquid left from this dish. We have about 15 minutes left on our 1 hour and 45 minutes. Things are looking good. Let's turn this over one more time. As you can see, we're getting some color to this. This looks great. So let's go another 15 minutes. Our hour 45 minutes of simmering of the lamb shanks are over. We've added liquid all through and turned and kind of stirred this several times during the process. Look at this. This is really looking good. The smell is intoxicating. We got good enough amount of liquid in here. We're gonna add the salt and pepper at this point, all around here. We're gonna stir it. We're gonna add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of saffron solution. Now this is subject to your taste and how much you wanna put in there. All nice and ready to go. We kind of stirred the salt and pepper in there. This got everything it needs. We need to cook this another stretch to make sure the meat is tender, fall off the bone. So continue simmering this on the low as you've been until the shanks are tender enough to your taste. Check it out. Now remember, we added salt and pepper and saffron, and now we're going to examine this one more time. All the while I've kind of poked and prodded and stirred this. Let's see what level of doneness we're at. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is, I don't want to disfigure these shanks, but just enough to see how tender they are. Look at this. See that? See, that's where I want this. I'm going to push this off. Now we're going to start making our saffron grits. We're going to add our milk, our broth, and our grits. Please see the recipe below as usual. We're going to turn this on. We stir it to make sure it distributes evenly. Now we're at a boil. We're going to reduce to low so we can start our simmer. We're going to put the salt in there. and stir. Now we're gonna cover and go on low for an 8 to 9 minute simmer. We're halfway through the 8-minute simmer for our grits. We're gonna do a little stir to make sure this is consistent, looking good. All right, our 8 minutes has ended. We're going to remove the lid and continue to stir pretty much constantly for 4 to 5 minutes until we're ready to add the final ingredients and serve this. Our grits are ready. Look at this texture. This is exactly what we want. We're going to add our butter. I've cut them into half tablespoon sizes so they will melt easier in the final grits. We have about a cup and a half of finely shredded sharp cheddar, which is what we like in our family to go in these grits. If you like different kind of cheese, smoked, Gouda, whatever you like, definitely you can switch and make it your own. Put in about a tablespoon of our saffron solution. The recipe for solution, as always, is at the bottom in the comments. So we're gonna stir this, and at this point I would turn off the heat. We don't need any more heat. This is warm enough to incorporate everything. Now this final ingredient is something that I save every time I smoke briskets, do barbecue in the backyard. I save some of the brisket juice, which has the smoke and char from smoking brisket in there. It adds a really smoky, wonderful character to these grits. If you don't have that, you can add some liquid smoke, which is a product you can buy from grocery store, or you can skip it altogether. But this just gives it a different dimension that we like. This is a portion that's like 2 ounces of fat and the gelatin from brisket. I'll put about a half of it. So you want to stir this. I like a little more saffron color in there. Again, this is up to you. Just determine how much of everything you need in there at the end. I think we are about good to go. We're going to get our serving bowl. Right here is what I use. Now, I argued that this is a serving for one person. We think the amount of cheese grits, saffron cheese grits that we have in the recipe is for 4 people. But again, it depends on your appetite and how hungry you are. We have 2 shanks and 1 per person. Again, if your appetite is not as much, you can serve this for 2 people, right? I remove this part at the end of this bone because it's a little unseeming and not very pretty up there. So what you do is you get this, and the part with extra meat is the part that I usually put up top. There, look at that. And then we're going to get some of this wonderful broth around the edges. Now don't worry, we're gonna serve more of that broth. And what I do is I fish out the pieces of carrots, just however many you think one person would like, and just plant them. And then get one of these pieces of celery and put it right there. Make sure to serve some of this caramelized onion and the rest of the goodness in a little bowl or ramekin. So we're gonna clean our bowl. There you have it. I believe in contrast in texture, color, smell, flavor. So a little bit of crunchy on one side of this. This is fried onions. You can do little shoestring potato fries. Persian Lamb Shank with Saffron Cheese Grits here. Isn't this wonderful? I wish you could smell the aromas in this kitchen, in this whole house. Check out the recipe below. If you like what you saw tonight, please like this video below, share on your social media, Facebook, X, whatever, and share with your friends and family. Thank you for being with me here today to cook this together. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe and stay with us. Hit the little bell button so you can hear from us when there's new stuff happening around here, get notifications. And please come back and see me very soon right here at Cafe Bagheri.